that he stops those thoughts, because that feels like betrayal for her.
Thank you both. The floor is open for questions, comments. Who'd like to go first? Okay, someone behind you.
Hello, my name is Norma. I have a question for you, Yinka, but before I go into that, I was thinking while we were setting up, and I was sitting down right in front here, and I was thinking how wonderful it is that there are 3 women on the stage, and how literary spaces are such a wonderful place for women. And then you said what you said about being at the last literary festival and how you were accosted. And you know, and I had to reassess again. I had to go back and think, oh well, they're really, sorry? Okay. You know, so I was thinking how these kind of spaces are safe places for women and our thoughts and togetherness. And then I like the fact that you shared that, and I had to go back and reassess and think, oh no, there really isn't any safe place.
No, there really isn't, no. And I mean, and we never know when it is gonna feel safe and when it's not. I mean, there was an incident last night that made it feel not so safe. And then there was, when I had that happen in Durban, we had to run. We ran out of there. And I remember standing at the elevator, pressing and hoping it opens. Please, please, please open before these men come. So yeah, we never know. Sometimes we do think that it's a safe space, but a lot of the time it isn't.
Thank you for sharing that. Oinka, I wanted to ask about your time. You said you always knew you wanted to be a writer, and you studied creative writing and law at Kingston. What was Kingston like? What was education like? I'd like some background into Kingston.
What was Kingston like? And
for your education as a creative, yes, what was it like?
A long time ago. Okay, so I mean, it was a joint degree, but I had the 2 different campuses, so creative writing, so they didn't really seep into one another. I went to the law campus for the law stuff, went to different campus for the creative writing. As far as the creative writing went, you know, you could, I think after the first year, you could choose one module, so I always leaned towards poetry. I really enjoyed my screenwriting classes. Kind of flunked. I mean, I didn't fail it, but the songwriting, apparently I can't write songs. So it was, I think one thing I'm grateful for is that, and this is the thing for anybody who's thinking about creative writing, I mean, by all means do it, but one thing I was grateful for, I think a writer can do on their own, in their own time, is that it forced me to A, read books I wouldn't normally read, and B, write in styles I wouldn't normally consider writing in. So now I have a habit of, when I see a writer do something interesting, and not with story, but like stylistically do something interesting, I think about it and I think, you know, is that something I'm interested in doing, or you know, just try it and see where that will lead you. And I'm a big fan of prompts, which maybe I got that from the creative writing course as well, I'm not sure. But after that, I've still gone on to do online workshops. I buy books on writing all the time, have loads, so yeah.
Hi. Hori, nice to see you again.
Someone speaking?
Oh. Okay. So Oyinkan, we're on a panel together at Open Book Festival, and you mentioned that it was important for you to write that book because you are so tired of women. You know, you've never seen a woman who has acted out of character. You know, who acts out of character. So it's like creating a character who actually goes against all expectations. Can you speak a little more about that? You know, the drive to create a sister who, I mean, yes, the beauty part is there, but, you know, she does very dark things.
Yeah, so this experience has been interesting because I've realized, you know, I've been a little bit concerned as well how many women sort of jumped on this book as yes, finally, you know, because obviously it's a book about a woman who kills lots of men, and so that's been interesting. But when I'm sort of asked, you know, why do I have this character? I've had people say, you know, oh, there's no such thing as female serial killers, or, oh, you know, black people wouldn't do this sort of thing. And I don't agree. I actually don't think there's anything that a woman can't do. I think it's more likely that women, first of all, there have been female serial killers, but I also think that it's more likely that women are getting away with it and men aren't. Partly because they're being overlooked, but also because tidy. Nothing a woman, because I was asked actually the other day how to create a character that's, not this two-dimensional woman that's docile or just perfect, really nice, kind to everyone. And I said, I don't think it's, there's art there, there's craft there, but I think it's more realizing that people aren't like that, men or women. Nobody is, there are people who do nice things for not so nice reasons. They have, even if it's just for the sake of puffing themselves up, like, oh my gosh, she did this, she gave to this, or, she did that. I think once you realize that people really aren't very nice, then it opens up the possibilities then are endless. So I don't know if I've answered that question, but and it's nice to see you, Nicole. Yeah.
Hello, Oyinkan.
Hi.
This question is for you. Okay, so it's more of a comment. So what I loved about your book was the infusion of social media. So we are in this age where, what I loved about your book was the infusion of social media. Twitter, hashtag trends, Instagram, and I figured that that's something a lot of writers try to shy away from. So it's as though once they infuse contemporary social media or contemporary millennial happenings in their book, then they kind of seem very unserious. And even in a session where Waitu was talking, she said something about how generally people just, rather than say he was typing away on his Facebook profile, they would say he was staring deeply into his phone, trying to shy away from that. So that's what I really loved about your book. And so why did you think it was necessary? Because I'm asking this, I know you've talked about it before with me, but I feel like a lot of people are not yet open to that contemporary use of social media. And it's a reality now. So just talk about.
Okay, so this book was my first time including social media, and I hadn't started out with the intention of including social media, but I started writing the book, and then I thought, oh my goodness, I'm writing a contemporary story set in Lagos with two women in their 20s. It's weird that because I don't know any that aren't, interacting with social media. So I had the same fear, because I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to make my work seem tacky. But I started it, and once I started it, I got into it because I realized that it was actually furthering one of the things that I was examining in the novel, which was the way that society engages with beauty. And I think social media is, you project the best of yourself on social media. On Twitter, it's how clever, how intelligent, or how witty am I. On Instagram, it's I'm living my best life. You're always projecting the best of yourself, but really, the question then is, how is your life really? I have this sort of, I've decided that all those people who are tweeting these death threats are sitting on the toilets, doing number 2. So I just think that what you're just seeing this very, people have presented themselves. So it furthered what I was trying to do. And once I got into it, that it didn't feel like this tacky thing anymore. It was just, it felt easy, and yeah.
Okay, we have 10 more minutes. Any other questions? And if not, I'd like to ask both authors to answer questions that no one else has asked, or tell us something that you think we should know. I know, just so random. I'd like to go first.
Okay, let me make public service announcement that I don't hate men, because I have been asked, and this isn't a revenge fantasy either, and please, nobody use my book as an accessory to any crime.
Thank you.
I actually can't think of anything people haven't asked me yet. So, yeah, no. I don't have a brother, I'll say that. People ask me all the time, is it autobiographical? And I say, well, I don't have a brother, so yeah.
But do you have siblings? Do you have sister? Do you have a sister?
I do, I have 3 sisters, yeah.
So, one of the things in your book that made me laugh was, how you're growing up and sometimes you're running a bath and you're just really enjoying this bath. And then your mother comes and says, I hope you know that in some countries there's drought or, there's no water. And here you are being wasting or, throwing that last bit of dodo away because, you're full and how they're hungry children. And so I could also really connect. There's a part in the book where the parents say something about lack of water in Ethiopia, and just how there are things that cut across cultures and times. Because, I have 3 children, and sometimes I do have to, maybe not as blatant as that, but sometimes I do have to call them and kind of mirror their situations with situations of people, not just around the world, but in Lagos, and let them understand privilege. And there was, part of the story is a moving up, right?
Right.
The family moves
Right.
up and they move out of the
lower end of the township,
and there's that tension between how do we, now that we've left, who maintains the relationships between where we're coming from and where we're going. So this kind of past, present, future tension.
Yeah.
And I think
yeah.
that was evident throughout the book.
Yeah, and that whole lack of water, there's no water in Ethiopia thing was really making fun of middle-class South Africans who like to think that there are problems in the world, but they're like somewhere out there in another country, there's famine in another country, there's lack of water in another country, and that happens a lot with middle-class South Africa, where they are not looking at what's happening right around them. So there's lack of water down in the township where they live, where the people they interact with every day live. But they're not able to make that connection because they need to be so separate from the rest of their community. And that was just kind of, making fun of that, because that's the part of South Africa I grew up in. I was making fun of that, my group of people there, yeah.
And I think that's very important, being able to be in a place and actually be in that place, and understand the dynamics, the issues, write about them, speak about them. So, you've both raised things about the places where your stories have been situated, about how they kind of spotlight things that could be better, that could be different, and whether that's ways of thinking, whether that's infrastructure. And I think that's very, very important. Yeah. Honestly, I really enjoyed both books, and I'm really honored to be sitting here and talking. There's a question? Okay. Maybe the last one, sure.
Hi, Oyinka, I loved your book, and I was hoping you could read your favorite passage from it. You guys are yet to read.
Okay, you wanted to read. Would you like to?
I don't think this is my favorite passage, but we're going to go with it. So,
Do you have a favorite part?
I don't know. The part, there's a really, I think the darkest part in the book is what I consider to be the darkest part in the book, because I feel like it kind of, I'm just going to do this one, because I think this is cool. Okay. Femi Durand is missing has been hashtag Femi Durand is missing has been sidelined by hashtag Niger Jollof versus Kenyan Jollof. People may be drawn to the macabre, but never for very long. And so news of Femi's disappearance has been trumped by conversations about which country's jollof rice is better. Besides, he was almost 30, not a child. I read the comments. Some people say he probably got fed up and left Lagos. Some suggest that perhaps he killed himself. In an effort to keep people caring about Femi, his sister has started posting his poetry from his blog, www.wildthoughts.com. I can't help but read them. He was very talented. I found the quiet in your arms, the nothing that I search for daily. You are empty and I am full, fully drowning. I wonder if this poem was about her, if he knew. What are you looking at? I slammed the lid of my laptop closed. Ayoola is framed in the doorway of my bedroom. I narrow my eyes at her. Tell me what happened with Femi again, I ask her. Why? Just humor me. I don't want to talk about it. It's upsetting to even think about. You said he was aggressive toward you. Yes. As in he grabbed you. Yes. And you tried to run? Yes. But there was a stab wound in his back. She sighs. Look, I was afraid and then I kind of saw red. I don't know. Why were you afraid? He was threatening me, threatening to like hit me and stuff. He had me cornered. But why? Why was he so angry? I don't remember. I think he saw some messages from a guy on my phone or something and he just flipped. So he cornered you? How did you get to the knife? It was in your bag, wasn't it? She pauses. I don't know. It was all a blur. I take it back if I could. I take it all back.
And on this note, I'd like to say thank you for spending your time with us. I'd like to say a big thank you to Cheriso. And thank you, Oyinkan. Like I said, I really enjoyed both stories, the complexity of relationships, friendships, family, childhood trauma, sibling rivalries, ride or die. So many themes that are familiar, but just told very beautifully and very deftly. That's the word, right? Yeah, deftly. I enjoyed them both. Thank you for spending time with us and honoring us with your presence. Thank you very much. Have a good day.